In this stage of your puppy's life, she may have some obnoxious behaviors and seem to have endless amounts of energy. So today I'll be teaching you what your puppy needs to know when she is 12 to 16 weeks old and how to train her to do those things. And remember that the more you practice, the better your dog will be. So dedicate at least 2 or 3 times that your dog does a training session a day so that she'll be happy. And also do several play sessions where you're wrestling with your dog or playing fetch or just tugging with a toy to get her endless energy out so that she's a happy and well-rounded dog. One thing that your puppy should know or start learning by now is look at me. Your puppy should know this before she's 1 year old because this is such a good trick for your dog to know. It will remind your dog to keep checking in on you when on walks, or if you're trying to get her to leave something on the ground, getting her to look at you is a great way to distract her from that thing on the ground that you don't want her to get. And so it will help her understand and have better communication for you. And I have a video on that, so I'll put the link in the description below. Following you is also another skill that your dog should have learned by now. It's basically just her knowing that you want her by your side. Now, you should always have your puppy on a leash connected to your waist while she's this young because she can be so destructive of other things if not supervised. So always keep her on the leash, but maybe every once in a while when you see her doing a great follow, just say, "Come on, let's go," or "Follow me," and she'll start to pick up on that means I'm supposed to go with you and do whatever you want her to do. It's a pretty simple trick to learn for your dog, and she'll learn best by using capturing. You also want to do proper training sessions for leash walking, but these are also what you call secondary training sessions, where you just teach your dog random things at different times so that she generalizes the idea of, hey, even though there's something over there that I want, I have to listen to you. And so that is a very important skill. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of these skills are basic skills, but are very necessary for owning a dog. So focus a lot of time on this. I know that it's fun to teach your dogs tricks, but it's also just as important to teach them basic obedience. Some other important things that your dog probably already knows, but you need to keep practicing, is sit and lay down. Now you want to start adding in difficulty to help your dog generalize the idea. So you'll want to try to ask her to sit in different places, like maybe when you're on your daily walk, or when you're somewhere around the house, when you're cooking, just random places at random times when your dog doesn't expect it. Ask her to sit or lay down and reward her with a treat when she does, because you're working on generalization. And this is very important so that your dog will behave in all places at all times whenever you ask her to. Now, this next thing you want to teach your dog, you probably really haven't heard of, but it's teaching your dog to stand on cue. This one's really important so that your dog can be groomed on a regular basis, or just so that you can do different tricks with her. Because what happens if you want her to learn something standing but she's sitting? You can't get her to do it that way. You have to get her to stand. The definition of stand is when your dog stands in one place and doesn't move any of her paws. So basically what you do is you take a treat and lure your dog into the standing position, and then do rapid fire clicks and treats while your dog is standing in the same place. And the second that she steps forward or walks away, stop the clicking and treating and get her back into position and try again. And so just keep practicing this, and then slowly phase out the treats so that your dog gets the idea that she stands still even if treats aren't coming at her one after another. Settle is another great thing that you have to work with your dog right now, because it takes months to get your dog to do a perfect settle. And the definition of settle is when you tell your dog settle, she goes and relaxes and is in a calm state of mind. This is different than your traditional lay down, because you're actually telling your dog to relax and have a calm state of mind. Now, it takes months, like I said, it takes months to perfect. And the reason is because the only perfect way to get this behavior is to capture it. And capturing is rewarding your dog in the act. Now, it's a little different than usual. We're not going to treat your dog normally when she's in a settle, but after your dog has exercised, she'll most likely be tired. And you know your dog the best, but she'll usually have a relaxed position she's laying in, or she may look sleepy or tired. And that's when you calmly say, yes, settle, and very calm, because if you are too excited, your dog will get up and get all excited again. So you want to keep her in that calm state of mind. And so whenever you see her doing that, just tell her yes and settle in a very calm voice so that she understands the concept. And eventually one day, your dog will be able to go and settle when you ask her to. And it's a really beautiful thing, but it takes a long time for your dog to learn. So start now while your puppy's young. And like I said, the best time to train with this is right after your dog has had a long exercise session. Wait is another thing that your dog should know. This is different than stay, because stay means right now I need you to stay in that exact position until I say okay. And wait is wait just a second, I'm gonna do something real quick, and then I expect you to do something when I tell you to. And so it's basically more of a relaxed stay. If you're wanting to give your dog a hug like this, Ellie Mae, give me a hug. Good girl. You may ask her to sit, wait, which just means give me 1 second, I'm getting into position, get into the position, and then say, all right, give me a hug, and tap your shoulder, and she would give you a hug if you already knew that trick. And so that's how wait can be useful. Another great thing to teach your dog is the word okay, which means we're done with that thing, it's time to move on to the next thing. So if your dog was sitting down and you wanted her to get up, you'd say okay. So this is a really good thing because it makes your dog know that if I'm sitting, I don't stop sitting until she tells me to, which that cue is okay. So it's basically keeping your dog glued in a position until you tell her it's time to be done. And that's useful for lots of tricks. Teaching your dog to move on command can be very helpful. If your dog is in the way, instead of having to push him out of the way, you can tell him, move please, or excuse me, whichever your cue is, and your dog will move out of the way. And again, this takes practice and generalization, because your dog may do it in a training session, but when she's in the kitchen and you need to get past her, she may not know what you want. And so practice makes perfect. So you want to start now while your dog is young, so that when she's older, she has already mastered the trick and she's a well-behaved dog. So basically, all you do in your training sessions is when she's laying down, you can grab a treat and lure her out of the position and say, move please, while you're doing it, and then click and reward with your treat. And just do this many times, then you'll start working up to it in the kitchen. So if you need to get past her in the kitchen, grab some treat, lure her out of the way and say, move please, and eventually you can start to phase out the lure when your dog is ready. Leave it is the most important thing you need to teach your puppy right now. It will show her that when she's out on a walk and there's a piece of garbage or something else that you don't want her to go chase after or go get, that she needs to leave that alone and pay attention to you and walk away instead. And I have a video on that, and it will come out soon, so keep an eye out for that. And so it's a very easy trick to teach, but it just takes a lot of time for your dog to generalize. And so you'll want to start by doing primary training sessions, which are just in your designated training area where you work on dropping a treat and she doesn't go get it. And then you'll want to build up to when you're in your kitchen, accidentally drop a treat on the floor and tell her to leave it. And this can be a bunch of different things. It can be a vegetable or it could be a real piece of meat. Just mix it up with your dog so that she generalizes things. And don't just make it treats either. Make it your dog's favorite toy, or your keys, or your backpack, or your training pouch, your clicker, anything. The more you teach your dog this trick, the more successful she'll be in real life situations. And then after your dog is better with secondary training sessions, you'll move on to real world situations where there's a squirrel darting across your path on your walk. You tell your dog to leave it, she leaves it and looks at you, because the leave it, look at you combo is a really good thing to teach your dog. Please remember that even though your puppy isn't in the main socialization stage, it is still critical for her to be socializing. She will need to play with lots of other dogs and see lots of humans before she behaves well around them. And so keep socializing her and possibly try to bring her to a puppy class so that she is around other dogs and will learn to respond to you while she's in the puppy class, which is a huge thing for puppies to know. And so try to do that and try to set up puppy play dates and do it with many different shapes and sizes of dogs so your dog understands and learns from each and every dog, because every dog has a different play style. So it's different for each dog to play with yours. And so it's a great skill for your dog to know for in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit the bell so that you hear when new videos come out, because this video is part of a series where I teach you how to raise the perfect puppy so that you have the best pal. I hope you have a wonderful day.